Every year there are a handful of names that seem to be potential picks for the Dallas Cowboys, at least in the eyes of many who study the draft and its corresponding entities. This offseason is no different, as there are some particular players who have caught the eye of plenty of Cowboys faithful. One of these names is Jace Sternberger, a tight end out of Texas A. 2019 is the first offseason where the Cowboys are truly being tasked with replacing Jason Witten, as Gold Jacket Witt announced his retirement in the hoopla of last year's draft, coincidentally at it. Replacing someone who will one day have a bronze bust in Canton is hardly an easy task, but we've seen Dallas have success in the draft over the last couple of seasons. Jace Sternberger could very well be that guy. Exactly what the Cowboys choose to do at tight end in general this offseason will be fascinating, as it will be indicative of what new offensive coordinator Kellen Moore plans to do with his toys. If we see the team devote significant resources to the position, whether money in free agency or maybe a second-round pick, then we'll know that it will likely play a large role. If Dallas is planning on having their tight end carry a heavy workload, it's hard to think that entrusting any piece of the Blake Jarwin, Jeff Swaim, or Dalton Schultz contingency is the best idea. 1 year ago they tried to work with average wide receivers, and it wound up being such a bad idea that they traded for Amari Cooper in the middle of the season. Hopefully, the same mistake isn't repeated just one season later. Jace Sternberger presents an option at tight end that plays a legitimate part in the passing game. During his lone season of legitimate collegiate production at A. Those are solid numbers. Dallas has gotten so used to tight ends that seem to serve as blockers first and actual options in the passing game second, but in the age of the modern-day offense that isn't going to be enough. The Cowboys need to get more out of the position. When you look around the NFL at elite tight ends, they're all guys who make huge contributions through the air. Rob Gronkowski and Travis Kelce have been doing it for a little while now, but Zach Ertz has come on strong to challenge as one of the game's best. An engram of the New York Giants is another passing threat in the Cowboys division. It's time for the Cowboys to throw their hat in the ring. Sternberger could be the wide receiver disguised as a tight end that Dallas needs. Sternberger has a description about him that tends to make people who like points, yes, that's you, salivate. He's a tight end with wide receiver traits. Ken Turner from 105.3 The Fan had a great write-up on Sternberger last week at The Athletic, where he described his game in a very similar way. When I watched Sternberger, the first thing that jumped out to me is that he did not really look or play like a tight end. He more closely resembled a wide receiver. Sternberger is big, 6'4", 250, but it's easy to mistake him for an overgrown wide receiver. For somebody that size to move as swiftly as he does is impressive. He made his way in College Station thanks to a different Kellen helping him on offense. Mond, his quarterback. Maybe it's time for him to get a new one in a professional setting. Strengthening the tight end position is without question one of the biggest off-season priorities for the Cowboys. Blake Jarwin showed signs of promise and Jeff Swaim has had a fair career, but in a season where so much is going to hinge on what happens on offense, more is expected. There's no way that Sternberger is going to be available when Dallas is on the clock in the third round, so it's going to come down to the 58th overall pick. Would you spend it on a tight end, particularly this one? 57%, 418 votes, 42%, 312 votes, 730 votes total. Vote now.